Layla is a cryo sword-wielding astrologist in training who is looking to fulfill quite an important role for several different team compositions. The role is so important that Layla will probably end up elevating certain characters to the next level. She has been, let's say, a missing puzzle piece to unlocking several characters' full potential. Nice. Layla is mainly a support, fulfilling the role of a shielder and cryo applicator for her team. Layla's elemental skill deals area of effect cryo damage and applies a shield called Curtains of Slumber for the player. This shield has a cooldown of 12 seconds and a duration of 12 seconds. The shield's damage absorption capabilities are based on Layla's max health and is more effective against cryo attacks. At talent level 10, we are looking at approximately 20% of Layla's max health being converted into the shield strength. While Layla's shield is active, 1 Night Star is generated every 1.5 seconds. At 4 Night Star stacks, the stars will be fired off in sequence, dealing cryo damage to any opponents it hits. Also, if a character protected by Layla's shield uses an elemental skill, they will generate 2 Night Star stacks, and this can be done every 0.3 seconds. It seems Layla will pair up pretty well with somebody who can spam elemental skills like Diluc, Bennett, Razor, and Lisa. Whenever a volley of shooting star goes off, Layla will generate 3 cryo energy particles for her team. With the right rotation, multiple volleys can go off per activation of Layla's elemental skill. As for the damage, while it's probably not going to be earth-shattering, one of Layla's passive gives these shooting stars scaling based off of 1.5% of Layla's max HP. If your Layla gets thick enough, these stars are gonna hurt. Layla's elemental burst. Dream of the Starscream Shaker has Layla unleashing a celestial dream spear that will continuously fire starlight slugs at opponents within the area of effect range of the burst. This burst lasts for 12 seconds with a 12-second cooldown and has an energy cost of 40. So we got 100% uptime and is easy to self-sustain. Sheesh. The starlight slugs themselves scale off of Layla's max HP. And each time that this starlight slug hits, it will deal cryo damage and generate 1 Night Star if Layla's shield is active on any nearby party members. This can occur every 0.5 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that Layla has a standard 2.5 second internal cooldown for her cryo application. While we have seen units in the past like Diona who can be a shield and cryo applicator, Layla is much more consistent at applying cryo and generating energy. Coupled with her cooldown times and energy costs, it's really hard to beat the amount of team damage and utility that Layla is going to provide. Speaking of team damage, who will you be pairing up with Layla? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying your time so far, support this channel by giving this video a like and consider subscribing for more content like this. Thank you so much. Personally, as mentioned before, I see obvious synergy with Diluc, Eula, Ganyu, Ayato, and Razor due to all of them wanting shields to function optimally, and also because they can better generate Night Stars for Layla. At higher constellations, Layla is the perfect partner for Ganyu, but we'll go over that when we go over her constellation. Comparative to Zhongli, the best shielder in the game, while Zhongli does provide a nice defense shred and a beefy shield, Layla does a bit more. She's a great battery for certain drivers, she sets up the right elements, cause Geo kinda sucks, and based on the numbers we've been seeing so far, it seems like Layla's shield strength is going to be pretty comparable to Zhongli, minus the omni effectiveness that Zhongli's Jade Shield does have. So depending on the situation, Layla is the obvious better choice. But not all situations, Zhongli is still amazing. Being a general support unit, Layla will age well into the future. We can even use Kuki as an example of a unit who at launch was considered okay, but over time, especially with Dendro, being one of the few electro characters who can heal can be a pretty big factor when considering team composition for either comfort play or challenge runs. Artifact sets I'd recommend for Layla include 4-piece Tenacity of the Millilith. This is probably her best in slot due to getting bonus HP, which is something her entire kit scales off of, and generating 30% shield strength and 20% attack for her entire team whenever a shooting star volley goes off. In the right team comp or rotation, this buff will be up the majority of the time. If you're crazy and want to pair up Layla with Chung Yun and make her a main DPS, go for 4-piece Blizzard Sprayer, which will grant you cryo damage bonus plus extra crit versus opponents who are frozen or affected by cryo. A mixture of these two would also work pretty well if you are working on completing a set for either of those two paths. If you are missing a 2-piece on either of these sets, a 2-piece Wanderer's Troops or Gilded Dream may be good enough to hold you over until you get the pieces that you need. For artifact stats, I would focus mainly on HP, Elemental Mastery, and crit rate / crit damage. Now for the goblet, I would still go with cryo damage even though you can get a lot out of the HP % goblet. Layla doesn't really have a lot of additional cryo damage bonus to her kit. As an HP scaling sword user, Layla shares many similar weapon choices with Nilou and Kuki, with the obvious best in slot being the Key of Kash Nisut, which gives a butt ton of HP and providing elemental mastery to Layla and her teammate. The Jade Cutter would also work, being one of the few 5-star swords that give HP percent bonus, and is more offensively minded due to the HP to attack scaling and crit rate increase of the substat. The Freedom Sworn can be a very good option if you are going for a melt heavy Layla or a DPS Layla, due to its high base attack and elemental mastery substat. The party-wide damage boost that Freedom Sworn provides is also a very nice bonus. Less premium weapon options include Cephos' Moonlight, which gives Layla and the team an energy charge increase while providing Layla with more elemental mastery to proc melt. The Festering Desires, while the energy recharge substat may not be necessary for Layla, gives her more damage from the sword's passive. As mentioned, in an optimal rotation, Layla's elemental skill will probably proc many times over. Iron Sting provides elemental mastery as a substat and an elemental damage boost for melt-centric Layla. Harbinger of Dawn can be great for Layla as she does not really care about the attack stat and can make great use of the substat and extra crit from the passive. And lastly, Favonia's Sword makes Layla's burst uptime super consistent, but is probably the last resort option in my opinion. Her energy cost being 40 and her having great energy generations makes the sword not so great and kinda redundant on Layla. Layla's Constellation 1 provides her with a bonus 20% shield absorption strength to her elemental skill Shield. It also enhances her elemental skill to provide shields to any nearby party members who are not currently protected by the Current of Slumber. Though the shield that you apply to nearby party members is going to be weaker than your own. Kinda meh, but I like it because I love playing co-op. So Layla's Constellation 2 makes it so her shooting stars from her elemental skill will restore her 1 energy each time it hits an opponent. I want to clarify that this only impacts her and no one else in the party, but still, if your Layla is not consistent enough at bringing out her burst, well, this thing's gonna make sure you have it. Layla's 3rd Constellation increases her elemental skill talent level by 3. Layla's 4th Constellations trigger when you hit an enemy with a shooting star from your elemental skill. When this happens, all nearby party members gain the Dawn Star buff, causing their normal and charge attacks to increase based on 5% of Layla's max HP. Dawn Star can last up to 3 seconds and will be removed 0.05 seconds after dealing a normal or charge attack. So when you get this buff, you want to hit them with a normal or charge attack ASAP just to get another one and another one and another one. And this constellation is actually why Ganyu would be a really good partner for Layla, because 5% of someone's max HP is pretty substantial, and we already know Ganyu's a nuke with her charge attacks, so doing just some simple math, you got some really big numbers, it's good, it's real good. Layla's Constellation 5 increases her elemental burst talent level by 3. Layla's final constellation gives her a 40% increased damage boost to both her elemental skill Shooting Star and her elemental burst Starlight Slug. It also has a bonus of increasing her Night Star generation from her elemental skill by 20%, which means that naturally the Night Stars will now generate once every 1.2 seconds instead of 1.5 seconds. And there you have it. That's Layla's kit, and as we can see, it is a very strong and very useful kit. It's one of those kits that I like because it's generic enough to fit into a lot of different team comps, but powerful enough when paired up with the right individuals like Hu Tao or Diluc or Ganyu, and of course, Eula. She has some awesome use cases where it matters. The only thing holding her back in this current time frame is that she doesn't get to play with all the nice Dendro reactions that many of the new characters will get to play. But who knows, maybe there's a character in the future that has a special passive that makes it so Cryo can react with Dendro, and Geo can react with Dendro, and Animo can react with Dendro. Who knows, right? Nilou opened up that door, so we'll just see in the future. Maybe Layla will be a benefactor of something like that. But if not, she's still great in the current ecosystem of characters that we do have, and her function is very good. I hope this video gave you a good understanding of Layla's kit, and if you're looking to learn about somebody like Nahida, check out this video on screen right now. I go over a bit of her kit and how to build her, so if there were any questions you had about Nahida, hopefully that video will answer your questions.